Testing.
Testing. Na 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 Page 132, Orzaru ala Tzadik, Uli Yishrei Lev Simcha, light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright.
Zaru ala tzadik, 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 kulei Yisrael simcha, kulei Yisrael simcha.
Page 137. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo b'shalom. May God grant strength to our people. May God grant us the gift of peace. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo. the Sabbath Bride with the words of Lecha Dodi, page 138.
Lecha Dodi, Mikrat Kabbalat. לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבל.
As we have welcomed Shabbat so beautifully with the song of Lekadodi, the mystical song, sung through the streets of Tzfat to welcome Shabbat, that has infused through the generations throughout time. And we welcome Shabbat with the lighting of our Shabbat candles, and I'd like to invite the Zaychik family to come forward as we light these Shabbat lights.
As these candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'hadlik shel Shabbat.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom and Mazel Tov as Ethan becomes a bar mitzvah this Shabbat. And we take a moment to welcome those of you in our community who are new to the congregation. Is anybody new tonight to Temple Beth Israel? We've got someone back there. I see point. Must be you. And you are, and where are you from?
Oh, hello, I'm Tim.
Hi Tim, welcome.
Thank you.
So please, where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Kew East.
Kew East.
Wow, that's almost
the other side
New
of
Zealand.
the Yarra. The other side. So we welcome you. Anybody else? Let's take a moment and turn to each other. Let's take a moment and turn to each other, wishing each other Shabbat Shalom.
Your page 440. On page 142, the angels accompany us in the words of Shalom Aleichem. We rise on page 144 for the Chatzi Kaddish. Please be seated and join us as Sophia will lead us in the Mariva Ravim on page 148.
Blessed are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, whose wisdom opens heaven's gates, whose understanding changes times and seasons, and who arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign over us into eternity. Blessed are you, eternal one, who brings on evening.
Baruch ata Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Ahavat olam, ahavat olam. ודיברת בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך ופשטתם לאות ידיך והיו לתותפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בצלצל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם, ולא תצורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
If you'll join us at the top of page 157, along with Ethan, whose bar mitzvah will be tomorrow.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught. Forever, we stood at Sinai's foot. That wherever we go, it is internally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. That there is no way to get from here to there, except by joining hands and marching together.
And perhaps by singing this song.
כמוך אלוהים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע לפני משה ומרים. זה לי ענו להעלות, אדוני יכלול Page 116. השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לשלום, לשלום. השכיבנו, Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Eternal One, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Eloheinu leshalom. Baruch ata Adonai, haporez sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Eternal One, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. On page 162, the people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages, a covenant for all time. Veshamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat.
Veshamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורות הבאים עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות הבאים עולם.
So we rise on page 164, and as is our tradition, we chant the first three of the paragraphs of the Amidah together as a community, and then we continue in silence, whether using the words of our prayer books or the words of our hearts. Page 164, the Amidah.
Adonai sefatai tiftach, ufi yakita hilatecha. Baruch ata Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim ve'Koneh HaKol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים. סומק נופים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע. ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Va'al kol b'nei Adam, may God bring peace to the entire world, and we say, Amen. This evening we are blessed and fortunate to have a speaker who is known to many of us in the congregation, Dr. Philip Bliss, who has been instrumental in so many different ways within our community, from being president of the JCCV, these are all their past presidency-ships that I'm sharing, Philip, of the UPJ, Youth Progressive Judaism, Progressive Judaism Victoria, and most recently of the Council of Christians and Jews. And Philip, and I stole this from Robert Hershen, is bliss by name and bliss by nature. And he's going to share with us a project that he's been working on specifically for Kristallnacht. As you know, tonight is the night of broken glass, which translates from Kristallnacht, that occurred in Germany 80 years ago tonight, where shops were broken into, synagogues were burned, and the glass spread across the streets, and it was known as broken glass. 30,000 men were deported to concentration camps as well. It was the beginning, in a sense, of the annihilation of the Jewish people, of our people in Germany. And Philip, you're going to share with us an exciting project that you've been working towards about Kristallnacht and how we as Temple Beth Israel can be part of it, working with, well, I'll let you tell everybody what it's about.
I thought you wouldn't stop.
Thanks, buddy.
Shabbat Shalom. Soon after Adolf Hitler became Germany's Chancellor in January 1933, he began instituting policies that isolated German Jews and subjected them to persecution. Among other things, Hitler's Nazi Party, which espoused extreme German nationalism and anti-Semitism, commanded all the Jewish businesses be boycotted and all Jews be dismissed from the civil service. In May 1933, the writings of Jewish and other un-German authors were burned in a communal ceremony. Within 2 years, German businesses were publicly announcing that they no longer serviced Jews. The Nuremberg laws passed in 1935 decreed that only Aryans could be full German citizens. Furthermore, it became illegal for Aryans and Jews to marry or cohabit. Despite the repressive nature of these policies, through to most of 1938, the harassment of Jews was primarily non-violent. However, on the night of November the 9th, all that changed dramatically. In the autumn of 1938, Herschel Greenspan, a 17-year-old ethnically Polish Jew who had been living in France for several years, learned that the Nazis had exiled his parents to Poland from Hanover, Germany, where Herschel had been born and his family had lived for many years. As retaliation, on November the 7th, 1938, the agitated teenager shot Ernst von Rath, a German diplomat in Paris. Rath died two days later from his wounds, and Hitler attended the funeral. Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi Minister for Public Enlightenment and Propaganda, immediately seized on the assassination to excite Hitler's supporters into an anti-Semitic frenzy. Kristallnacht was the result of that rage. Starting in the late hours of November the 9th and continuing into the next day, Nazi mobs torched or otherwise vandalized many hundreds of synagogues throughout Germany and Austria, and damaged, if not completely destroyed, thousands of Jewish homes, schools, businesses, hospitals, and cemeteries. Nearly 100 Jews were murdered during that violence. Nazi officials ordered German police officers and firemen to do nothing as the riots raged and buildings burned. Although firefighters were allowed to extinguish blazes that threatened Aryan-owned properties. In the immediate aftermath of these riots, the streets of Jewish communities were littered with broken glass from vandalised buildings, giving rise to the name the Night of Broken Glass, Kristallnacht. The Nazis held the German Jewish community responsible for the damage and imposed a collective fine, according to the US Holocaust Museum, of $400 million. Additionally, more than 30,000 Jewish men were arrested and sent to concentration camps in Germany, camps that were specifically constructed to hold Jews, political prisoners, and others perceived to be enemies of the Nazi state. Not all of those impacted by Kristallnacht were practicing Jews. Kristallnacht marked a turning point towards more violent and repressive treatment of Jews by the Nazis. By the end of 1938, Jews were prohibited from schools and most public places in Germany, and conditions only worsened from there on. During World War II, Hitler and the Nazis implemented their so-called final solution to what they referred to as the Jewish problem, and carried out the systematic murder of some 6 million European Jews. On the Night of Broken Glass, although violence was not publicly suggested, many Jewish people were murdered or assaulted. Suicide rates amongst Jews rose after the incident. The Night of Broken Glass was the first time the Nazis had launched an attack on the Jewish community on such a large scale, imprisoning based on their ethnicity. Hundreds of the Jewish men who were imprisoned in the concentration camps died as a result. Those not killed in the concentration camps were released over the next several months with the condition that they began to emigrate from Germany. German leaders criticised the Night of Broken Glass because of the financial impact it would have had to cover the cost of the damages. German leaders began to use Kristallnacht as a way to introduce rules and measures that would remove Jewish influence from German economics. The new laws that came into place pushed for Aryanisation, transferring Jewish property to Germans for only a fraction of their value and worth. The Nazi regime took the passive response by German citizens after Kristallnacht to symbolise that they were in agreement of the new laws and would welcome more radicalisation. There was very muted response around the world to these events. In France and Britain, mild statements were made but not pursued, so as not to make the situation worse. President Roosevelt did make a statement. He expressed his shock that such things could happen in the 20th century civilization, but with little or no support from the establishment and civil service, he failed to ease immigration for European Jews into the USA. A few days after Kristallnacht, thousands of miles away in Melbourne, the leader of the Aboriginal Advancement League, William Cooper, read in the front page of the Daily Argus all about the events in Germany and Austria. William Cooper, a Yorta man, born on the banks of the Murray River, a committed Christian and a long-time campaigner for Aboriginal advancement, made the only private protest against the German Nazi government. Cooper had earlier made representation to King George VI and the Prime Minister Joseph Lyons on the plight of the Aboriginal community. William Cooper was 77 and in poor health. He organised a march on December the 6th, walking from his home in Footscray with many Aboriginal friends to the German consul in Collins Street. William Cooper's letter to Dr. Dreschler, the German consul, stated, "On behalf of the Aboriginal inhabitants of Australia, we wish to have it registered and on record that we protest wholeheartedly of the cruel persecution of the Jewish people by the Nazi government of Germany. We plead that you make it known to your government and its military leaders that this cruel persecution of their fellow citizens must be brought to an end. Walking with his friends and family, they arrived at the consulate in Collins Street, but were refused entry. Walking with Cooper was his grandson, Alfred Turner. Uncle Boydie writes, "Grandfather could sadly recognise that the same affliction of fear, desperation, bewilderment, and sense of hopelessness which the Jewish people faced in Europe, when many countries around the world would not act, Grandfather did." In 1938, the plight of the Australian Aborigines was dire. They couldn't vote, they couldn't apply for welfare payments, thus entrenching their poverty, hopelessness, and hunger. And at the same time, children were being removed from their homes and placed with white families, the stolen generation. I was privileged to attend a ceremony last year at the Australian Embassy in Berlin, organised by Abe Schwartz, when Uncle Boydie, who turned 90 last week, presented to the German ambassador a copy of the 1938 petition. It was a most moving and meaningful event. As a result of Rabbi Gersh Lazaro's Kol Nidre sermon from last year, Gersh and Abe in particular are organising a Jewish solidarity walk to commemorate the 80th anniversary of William Cooper's petition and to support the Aboriginal desire for a voice in Parliament that was summed up in the Uluru Statement from the Heart. The walk will commence at 6:30 on the evening of Thursday, December the 6th, 80 years to the day, in the Flagstaff Gardens at the separation stone, which actually was the separation stone between Victoria and New South Wales, on the Thursday the 6th. The procession will travel along William Street, past William Cooper Justice Centre, down to Collins Street and past the site of the German consulate, and via the town hall over Swanson Street to King's Domain, via a burial stone under which are the collected bones of Aborigines from overseas museums, and from there on to Alexander Gardens. We will end up at Peppercorn Lawns on the banks of the Yarra, welcomed by a smoking ceremony, and after some short speeches and songs, we will light the 5th candle of Hanukkah. There's an online petition that can be signed on the website, Walking Together. We urge you to join us, and if possible, please bring your friends and family. When everything looked bleak in Europe for the Jews, an Aboriginal voice of protest cried out in Melbourne. It's now a critical time in Australian history that our Jewish community shows support for the advancement of Australia's First People. Thank you.
I sincerely hope that everyone will sign up for the march. We'll be walking, as Philip said, in the city, so please do go along, sign up. It's a walk that should be manageable by almost all. Let us rise for Aleinu on page 586, Henry. Henri, you're opening the out for us?
Page 586.
עלינו לשבח אדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשה כהרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם
המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
And so we turn now to mourning, to remembrance. And I'd like to share with you a reading that ends with hope, a reading that was written for Kristallnacht. These we remember, the ones whose lives were shaped by a mitzvah. You must not remain indifferent. The ones who lost their lives through devotion to a mitzvah. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof, justice, justice you shall pursue. The ones who embodied through deed and dedication a mitzvah, choose life. And these we remember. The ones who mended the broken, brought healing to the world, fought back despair with the solace of faith. The ones who breathed life into a prayer, the Taken Olam B'Malchut Shabbat, words we just shared in the Aleinu, to establish in the world the sovereignty of high and noble purpose. Remember these, artists of the soul, architects of redemption, the activists and advocates of justice and beauty, exemplars of Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. On this holy day, on this night of Kristall, we remember. Now we bring to mind those whose lives were destroyed in the Shoah, and those who helped to shape a new Jewish state in Eretz Israel after almost 2 millennia of dispersion, and remember them amongst our own of Shiva, Shloshim, and Yahrzeit. For the week of Shiva, we remember David Ross and Naum Volkov, and those who lost their lives in the recent shooting in Thousand Oaks in California. And for the Shloshim, we remember Rini Arapol, Olga Bartak, Catherine Daly, Matilda Plack, Sophia Fleischer, Max Mann, Claire Morris, Anna Paul, Judy Rosenfeld, and those who lost their lives at the Tree of Life, Orla Simcha, Shul, in Squirrel Hill, Pittsburgh. We remember Joyce Feinberg, Richard Gottfried, Rose Mallinger, Jerry Rabinowitz, Cecil Rosenthal, David Rosenthal, Bernice Simons, Sylvan Simon, Daniel Stein, Melvin Wax, and Irving Younger. And the Yahrzeits, the anniversaries of whose death fall on this Shabbat, the Yahrzeit of Kristallnacht. We remember Ora Arkels, Rudolf Cherney, Lionel Cowan, Hedvig Eisfelder, Philip Epstein, Posey Firestone, Phyllis Fradkin, Alexander Haar, Adela Kolesnik, Chaim Kolesnik, Hannah Kolesnik, Henry Kolesnik, Moshe Kolesnik, Sarah Kolesnik, Yitzhak Kolesnik, Elsie Coadlo, Edith Kahn, Francis Colt, Abraham Magolius, Bertimus McCall, Stanley Paxton, Victor Peichel, Adam Popiolek, Kevin Rawdon, Monique Samba, Louis Samuel, Anya Schwarzpalk, Favel Schwarzpalk, Meir Schwarzpalk, Sina Schwarzpalk, Ilsa Seligman, Alice Sloman, Henry Alexander Splitter, Draga Tolnauer, Aharon and Golda Unglich, Betsy Wexler, Ilse Zipper, and Clementine Tina Zipper. If you'd like to share the name of a loved one for memory, for Yahrzeit, I invite you to do so at this time, out loud or in your hearts.
Kelly Jacob.
Zecher Tzadik Levacha, may the memory of the righteous be for a blessing as we join together in one voice, as is our custom. Page 598. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabbah, v'yamad divrach v'ritei v'yamnit malchutei, v'chayachon v'yom echon v'chayeda for Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman karib v'maru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei amaya, yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'karmam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kodesha v'reichu, la'ela min kol berachata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, da'amiran v'yalma v'maru. Amen. Yehei shma maraba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom mimrama, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Hamakom yinachem echem b'tol sha'ah havlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved in Zion and Jerusalem and around the world. As we are seated, our President, Rebecca Silk, will make some announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi, and thank you, Cantor Lulum, and our ensemble tonight, Ari, Sharon, Patrick, and Ronen. Thank you so much for your liturgy. There you are, Ronen. Thank you. It was lovely. A few announcements, and thank you, Philip, for reminding us about Kristallnacht and telling us about the William Cooper Walk. We have some flyers in the foyer and around the building also, if you'd like a reminder of that event. Please do join us tomorrow at 10 o'clock, as usual, in the morning for services as we celebrate with the Gorog family as Oscar becomes Bar Mitzvah, and then, as we've heard, with the Zaitchik family for the Mincha service as Ella becomes Bat Mitzvah. After services tomorrow morning, Paul Forgas, who's always a very popular educator, he will lead our Lunch and Learn at 12:30 with an illustrated lecture about Jews and Judaism in medieval Spain. And we will remind you tomorrow, there is so much going on in the building. That session will be upstairs in the Lorraine Topol Learning Centre. Then on Sunday, the Rosh Kodesh Women's Group is joining together in solidarity, especially with the Jewish community of Pittsburgh, for a session with Rabbi Ettlinger on grief, healing and learning. And do come and see me if you would like to know the venue for that one. Next Shabbat, a lot of things going on, all on our Kol Israel sheet. Feel free to take it home. I'll just draw your attention to next Friday night, as well as our usual service in the sanctuary, there will be Hinenu, our alternative Kabbalat Shabbat Mariv service as well. And then on Shabbat morning, Saturday the 17th of November, we invite all families with toddlers to come along at 9:30 for Tot Shabbat, which will be followed by morning services. Sunday, Mitzvah Day, which will be after the UPJ Biennial Conference, which we're all very excited about. But Mitzvah Day on the Sunday the 18th. There are a whole lot of activities here associated with TBI or actually happening here. Even if you every year do the same activity and you think everyone knows that you always turn up, do please go onto our website and sign up so that we really can be sure of how many people are participating. And the last thing I want to say is that our Kol Nidre appeal is still open. Thank you to everyone who has donated. Please do remember us in your giving if you're thinking that way towards the end of the calendar year. And after the final song, we will have Kiddush in the back of the hall. Shabbat Shalom.
My friends, just to let you know, CSG has asked us to move directly to our cars immediately. Unfortunately, the incident in Burke Street this afternoon has been deemed a terrorist attack. So I do ask you to please move directly to cars. There is no imminent threat upon us, but just to be mindful and cautious to move as quickly as possible to our cars and to our homeward or wherever we are bound. Our final song in memory of Kristallnacht, Eli, Eli, on page 653.
come to the back of the hall, the red is wine, the white is grape juice, and in the middle is the nectar of Johnny Walker. Please join us for the
Miracle, it's been poured already.
It has.
Hanukkah's coming.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה במקרא קודש זכר יציאת מצרים
כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים.
בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
לחיים. And then the motzi, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom and b'teavon. Bon appetit. Shabbat shalom. Well done. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Good Shabbat. Good Shabbat. Good Shabbat. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Come on.